G'day guys and welcome to part one of a cracking two-parter. I couldn't get these two blokes together, but I'm so excited to collaborate with two of the finest rugby league content creators there is. The first one joined by me on this side, StreamYard's funny, but Tryline podcast. Bo from Tryline has jumped on the page today. We're going to be getting into the NRL Grand Final, which obviously kicks off on Sunday. There was a lot of doubt on whether it would go ahead, but it is going ahead. It's all locked in, so we're both very, very excited. Make sure you go and check out my sponsor, Drom Clothing Co. over on Instagram and use code ENT15 at drom.com.au. But, Bo, thanks for jumping on today. Are you pretty keen for this grand final?
Mate, I cannot wait. It's good to see two teams that have been so good defensively in the semi-finals make the grand final, especially in a season that's been dominated by attack. I think these two have shown what it takes to get to a grand final, especially Penrith. Their defense has been outstanding. And the Rabbitohs in that first game against Penrith in the semi-finals was just what they did defensively was astounding.
What about no grand final ever being played in Queensland? And here we are playing two Sydney teams in Queensland after everything that Sydney's been through in 2021.
I was thinking the other day, how much would this grand final go off in Sydney this weekend? Like they'd get 83 odd thousand there. Both Sydney teams, we know that South have a very passionate fan base, so it's disappointing not to see it up in Sydney, but I think it'll do really well at Brisbane. I think they cut 15% of the crowd, about 13,000 people, but it'll still be loud. Suncorp's a really loud stadium, so it'll still be a good game.
It's going to be awesome. It's my first grand final that I unfortunately haven't been to since 2018. I've attended every final. But look, let's get straight into it. So the Rabbitohs, they obviously are coming off a nice win against the Manly Seagulls, pretty convincing win. But as for the Penrith Panthers, it was a grindy affair. It was a great game against the Storm. They were able to force a lot of errors. We saw these teams meet in week one of the finals, as you mentioned, and no one expected the Bunnies to... I mean, a lot of people at the start of the year expected the Bunnies to be here. A lot of people... What was your grand final prediction at the start of the year?
At the start of the year, I went the Rabbitohs and Raiders at the start of the year, but at the start of the semi-finals, I thought Penrith were the team to beat. And then I kind of jumped off that bandwagon after they lost to South. Wish I didn't, but I picked South at the start of the year to win the comp, and I picked Penrith at the start of the semi-finals to win the comp. So I don't know.
He definitely gets half a point for that. He definitely gets half a point for that. But let's talk about Blake Taft. Blake Taft's obviously fairly new to the NRL. He's going to be playing. He's the youngest player, I believe, to be playing in an NRL grand final on Sunday.
I think in the NRL era, he is.
In the NRL
I think
era,
there's one. Yeah, I think there's one younger than him, but in the NRL era since '98, he's definitely the youngest.
Yeah, well, he had a fantastic game against Manly. We've seen a lot of skill about him, and here he is. Obviously, South's written off by a lot of people, including NRL commentators themselves, with Latrell Mitchell being out of the side. He goes up against Dylan Edwards. Now, Dylan Edwards, he's going through it's questionable. I think he'll play. There is a bit of injury cloud around some of these Penrith players, but this should be a good battle. And then you go to the wing. Now, Stephen Crichton, he started off as a centre at Penrith. He's moved to that wing position. He's really, really, really fit into that position. So already looking, that's two players, and that's a great battle there. But let's talk about the 5'8". Cody Walker, for mine, has been the best 5'8" of the year, and probably the second best 5'8" of the year is on the opposing team. Do you think there's more of an edge in the halves towards the Rabbits or the Penrith Panthers if we're going off the halves of Reynolds and Walker or of Cleary and Luai?
It's a really good matchup. I'm probably leaning towards Cleary and Luai because there is an injury cloud around Reynolds. Take nothing away from Cody Walker and Adam Reynolds. They've been outstanding. And one of the main reasons I like South at the start of the year because they had Latrell that had been there last year as well, Damien Cook, Adam Reynolds and Cody Walker, and they're fairly settled, those three especially, and they've still got those three going in the grand final. And as for Cody Walker, last week I thought was his best big game he's had in his career. Like, he'd lost 3 prelims, he's 1 of 4 in State of Origins, and then he come into that prelim with a lot of pressure on him. Adam Reynolds obviously was under an injury cloud, so he had to take a lot of responsibility, and I thought he played outstanding. So I'm probably leaning towards Nathan Cleary and Jerome Luai, but nothing against the South Sydney halves. It's going to be a great matchup.
Another great battle is the number 9s. Now, look, I've gotten a bit of hate for this, but I'm not going to stick by it. I think Damien Cook has been below average this season. I think he's had a pretty average season overall. Last week, he hit form against the Manly Seagulls, one of the best games he's had in a long time. And Api Coruscant, he's been pretty consistent all season. He's missed a few games due to suspension, but nothing major for the most part. I'm really, really excited to this battle. But we move into the forwards. Now, Isaiah Yeo, he wins the Lock of the Year award at the Dally M's over Cameron Murray. I had Isaiah Yeo. Who did you have? There's a lot of credit, a lot of people thinking that, not robbed, but Cameron Murray may have deserved that award a little bit more.
Leave that robbed word in the bin. I can't stand that with rugby league fans at the moment. Robbed comes out all the time. I had Cam Murray, but not because I think he's a lot better than Isaiah Yeo. I thought too many Panthers players in the team. When you're kind of building these Daily M sides, you're thinking who would have got points most weeks. They had 6 players in the Daily M team of the year, which shocked me a little bit. Isaiah Yeo actually statistically beat him in every category almost, so you can understand that. I had Cameron Murray, but 2 outstanding players, both really good shouts for the Clive Churchill this weekend, I think. I just wanted to go back to the Damien Cook, because I know you said he's been down this season. Do you think that's down on his own form, or do you think that's down on hookers in general?
I
know he sets a high standard. He's the Australian hooker. He's the incumbent Australian hooker. He's the New South Wales hooker. So I'm wondering if you're maybe comparing it to previous Damien Cook or just hookers in general.
Well, I think maybe he's, ever since these rules of the speed of the game, I feel like he's been a little bit flatter than he was. I think he's still an amazing player with a lot to offer, and we saw that against Manly. One game that really stood out for me, the game that he matured, it was last year when the Rabbits lost by 2 points to the Knights. And that was the game where I thought, okay, maybe he's starting to adjust to the speed of the game, but I still think there's a few hookers that are adjusting better than others. I think players like Brandon Smith, Harry Grant, Reid Marnie, Coruscant. I think Cook will get back to that form, and we could see it this weekend in the grand final. But I think it's dropped off with the speed of the game. A few things have changed, and I think hookers, they probably arguably provide less of an impact as well. It's more of a job for the forwards. And you don't see hookers run as much as you used to. You used to see hookers run a lot, but now you don't.
I feel a little bit bad for Damien Cook in the sense that when these new rules come in, he was the guy everyone looked to. Wait, with the quicker play of the balls, the 6 against, Damien Cook's going to dominate. This will be Damien Cook's league because he was such a good runner of the ball. And maybe that's put a little bit of pressure on him. I think a lot of the hookers you just mentioned have really, really great forward packs. And nothing against South's forward pack, but especially their props, they're not as dominant as some other teams. And especially with the Storm, you mentioned them, Brandon Smith and Harry Grant, probably the best 2 hookers this year. They play on the back of like really strong fast forwards with quick play the balls. Christian Welsh has a really quick play the ball. So I think that's a little bit unfair for Damien Cook. Obviously he's not at the same point he was maybe 2 years ago, but I still think he's had a pretty good year, and he's very smart when he gets the ball to Cody Walker in good positions. You know, Cody Walker's probably the best player in the competition when his team's going really well. Like he plays off the back of that energy really well. So he gets the ball to him in good situations. So yeah.
That's critical. No, fair enough. We've got that different opinion there. So let's move on to the bench. Now, the bench for the Bunnies, you've got Benji Marshall. Could this be his final game of NRL? He has questioned whether he'll play on. He said in 2018 that he'll go one more year with Robbie Farah, and here we are in 2021. He's a grand final under Wayne Bennett, which is just a great matchup. Jai Arrow, obviously bought from the Titans, really big buy, a lot talked about him, a lot to offer. We've seen him play a lot of jersey 12 this year. He now drops into jersey number 17. It's a good bench. And then Jacob Host and Tom Burgess. As for the Panthers, Scott Sorensen, outstanding season. One of the best players, underrated in my opinion, from the interchange all season. And he only started playing, I think, around 8 to 10. So he's only had about, 12 games of footy under his belt. Liam Martin was huge for the Panthers last year. He's had a lot of time on the bench in jersey number 17. Spencer Linu and Tyrone May. Now, Mitch Kenny has been named in jersey 19. I personally would have had Mitch Kenny over Tyrone May. I think that if, touch wood, if Cleary is injured, the kicking game goes to Luai, not to Tyrone May. Because if Tyrone May comes on for that type of role, he can play in the halves. And I don't like it when he plays in the halves. So I would have had Mitch Kenny to provide those tackles and things like Appy does in the middle.
Well, the Panthers are known for that late switch anyway. They do that all the time. So there's every chance that Mitch Kenny will come into the team before kickoff. I want to talk about Benji Marshall, obviously.
Yep.
One of the greatest ever players to come out of New Zealand. I remember in 2005, there wasn't a kid that was playing rugby league that didn't want to be Benji Marshall at the time. So he's obviously an icon, and he's going to go down as one of the greats to play the game. Great to see him back in a grand final. I love both benches. Jai Arrow, what a buy. What a buy for South Sydney. He's done a job for them the whole season. And when he gets on the field, he's hyper aggressive too. He pushes the envelope. And when you need those kind of players in your side, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. Two mouth-watering matchups. Well, let's get into, before we give out our tip, let's speak about the who has the edge. So, look, as for the Rabbits, the worrying thing, no team has ever won the comp after conceding 50 points. Now, two of the best sides in the comp, finishing first and second, the Melbourne Storm and the Penrith Panthers, they both conceded 50. I kind of take that Storm and Rabbits game and I throw it out of the way. Adam Reynolds wasn't playing, and I think Cameron Murray wasn't playing. However, that Penrith game, yeah, Cameron Murray wasn't playing, but it was pretty much a full-strength Rabbits against the Panthers. It worries me. But they turned that all around, and they did it twice. They lost to Penrith in round 23, I think it was. Round 23, they ended up losing, but they dominated them at the start. And that's exactly what they did in finals. And that's what makes this match so exciting. So I'm going to throw that 50-0 over the Storm out the window. But the one against the Panthers, a bit of redemption here. As for Penrith, I think their defence, you mentioned it, has been outstanding all year. Kurt Capewell has been amazing this season. He's off to the Broncos next year. Fantastic buy for the Brisbane Broncos. And then Matt Burton, it's his final game for Penrith before he heads to the Bulldogs. But the thing about Penrith is if this game is to be low scoring, they may struggle to produce points. Cleary's kicking game and things are brilliant, and their defence is great, but they really may struggle to come up with points. And Souths are a better attacking team, but Penrith have the better defensive edge, which makes it really, really exciting. So, look, Tavita Pangai Jr., he's been great in the last couple of weeks for the Panthers, just like Jai Arrow for the Rabbits. What a buy, what a late buy. How big of a loss is he going to be for Penrith?
I think he's massive. I think he's another player that pushes the envelope. And we saw at the start of the game last week, he picked out the biggest player on Melbourne Storm side in Christian Welch and just went after him from the opening bell. And that can rattle sides. And you need those kind of players in your side. And to be honest, I don't really see that in Penrith starting side right now. James Fisher-Harris can be that kind of player, but he's more kind of reserved, leads by his actions rather than with his aggression. So I don't really see that anymore. I'm so excited for this game. It's one of the grand finals I've come into thinking, like, I don't really know what the result's going to be. I could see South blowing them away. I could see Penrith blowing them away. I can see both win in close games, which is great. That's what you want as a fan.
Do you feel like if either side wins, you'll be happy? A lot of grand finals, people are like, oh, Storm again. You know, I just get this excitement of, yes, I'm picking that team, but if the other team wins, good on them.
I think it could be a great story for both clubs if they win. For sure.
All right. My tip is I'm going to tip the Rabbits here. No team's ever won the comp to have 50 points put on them. I have said that the Rabbitohs, I think around round 12, I was starting to say that everybody tipped them for the premiership at the start of the year. And, yeah, they've got a great side, but they're overrated. They're not looking great. I'm taking it all back. Wayne Bennett is the master coach for mine. I think that Penrith probably deserved this just because they were able to beat the Storm. However, at the same time, it wasn't a very Melbourne Storm performance. Yeah, they forced errors because of their defence, but the Storm didn't play anything like they normally do. They've had a great season, but I just think South's attack will get them over the line, and I'm going to go the Rabbits by 10. I think 22 points to 12. My first try scorer pick is paying $18, and I'm going to go with Dane Gagai for the Rabbits. I like Adam Reynolds for the Clive Churchill. A lot of injury cloud around him. you go back and think of two situations. One, last week, Adam Reynolds injured, still having a great kicking game, very involved. Cody Walker definitely took over, but Adam still had a great game. And then you go back to the 2019 grand final. He didn't win the Clive Churchill, but Cooper Cronk playing with a broken friggin' arm and still making so much impact. So I'm going to go the Bunnies, Dane Gagai and Adam Reynolds. I want to chuck a smoky in there, though. If you like the Panthers, Brian Toto, the meter eater, great season, winger of the year, is paying $26 for the Clive Churchill. But I'm going to go the Rabbits by 10, and I like Gagai and Cleary to score. What's your tip?
Mate, South Sydney have the coach that's probably the best one-off game coach in the NRL probably ever. So he can get any team up for one game. I think he could probably go coach the Bulldogs and get them up for one game. You know what I mean? So in saying that, I'm going to stick true to what I said at the start of the finals. I thought the Panthers were the only team that could beat Melbourne. They did that, and I think it's their season. They lost last year. They're fueled on by that. Their attack hasn't been where it should be, but their defense, I think, has been outstanding. So I'm going to go the Panthers maybe by 8 points in a really close game. Nathan Cleary, I think, takes home the Clive Churchill. But if you like South, here's where I see some value for South. I think a person that's not been talked about this whole week at all, Dane Gagai, right? He's won the Wally Lewis medal on the wing. I think he's a really good big game player. He's got tons of big game experience. Like he's won State of Origins. He's played for his country. He's played in the Indigenous games. He knows what it takes in a big game. If he scores first and then maybe bags a try somewhere else, Clive Churchill for Dane Gagai at odds, I think.
What are the odds? Do we know?
I think it's in the 30s. I'll have a look.
Pretty good value. That's why I went with Brian Toto out there on the wing, the meters. If the meters get Penrith downfield and they get those attacking opportunities, because you've chucked that in there and because you've gone the Panthers and you've given me a value play. Not sure if you've seen this, but Sportsbet are offering $11 for the Panthers to win by 4 or more, under 37 points. Really? Cleary, Clive Churchill, and Toto to score at any time. Now that's fucking value.
Yeah. Dane Gagai is $67 if there's any punters out there that's willing to throw a couple bucks on that. I'm not saying he's going to win, but he's better value than $67. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait for this grand final on Sunday. I hope you've enjoyed coming on the channel. I really appreciate you coming on the channel. Absolutely love your content. Go and check out Tryline. Is it Tryline Podcast or Tryline itself over on TikTok? It's Tryline Podcast.
Tryline Podcast. Tryline Podcast. Yeah, I'll just before we sign off, it's been a pleasure obviously coming on. I'll just give you my quick multi and then we're done. Panthers 1-12, total points under 38.5, and South under 16.5 is $5.65. That's my multi there.
I've got one for Alpha and one for you. I'll give you my little value one. So my little value one, which is a safe one at $2.70. I'm going to go under 50 total points. I'm going to go with the Panthers total under 20. South's over 8 points and Penrith at the plus 16.5 at $2.70. I think that's pretty safe. Small value, but a bit safe. But thanks for jumping on.
All good, bro.
All right, guys, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. It's obviously around 6:30 when this comes out on, this will be part 1. So you'll see this on Saturday. This has been filmed on the Friday, and part 2 will feature Alpha. Check out Alpha as well over on YouTube. But go check out the Tryline. Thanks for coming on. Make sure you guys subscribe. Enjoy the NRL Grand Final, and I'll see you guys later. How do I...